This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So to start off, our Mega Suite, as I mentioned, contains two products. We have PVSketch Mega. This is our new product that we are releasing today as a soft launch. So this is trusted utility scale solar layout, modeling, and proposal software for project developers. So it's specific to utility scale layout optimizations to help you quantitatively inform your development decisions. Our other tool in the Mega Suite is PVCAD Mega, and this is the first utility scale solar design software built in the AutoCAD environment, and it's made specifically for multi-megawatt single axis and fixed tilt layouts over complex terrain, and this is for utility scale project engineers. PVComplete as a company, we've been incorporated since 2015. We have designers using our products in over 44 countries around the world. We're headquartered in Oakland, California, and we opened up an office in Porto, Portugal in 2019. All of our customers, specifically for our Mega Suite, are developers, EPCs, and utilities just like you guys, and they're using the Mega Suite to help make quantitative decisions about their utility scale project development and design. So as I mentioned today, we're looking at the Mega Suite, and this includes a first peek at PVSketch Mega for the first time, and as well as it integrates with PVCAD Mega, which hopefully you've heard of. If you haven't, this will be a great first introduction for you as well. So the first thing that we're starting in PVSketch Mega, and the first thing we're going to do is import our site. So this is instant site imagery. You also have the option to import using existing KMZ or KML files, and it has a simple interface to trace your site plan. And so here we're in PVSketch Mega. You can see at the opening window, it's allowing us to input either an address or latitude, longitude coordinates. And once you pick your location, either via the address or, as I mentioned before, KMZ or KML file from that button down there, it's going to import your imagery directly into the design window. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see drawing tools that we can just simply use to trace out our site plan, so the entire ground mount area. And additionally, we can use these same tools to trace out any keep out areas we might have. So this can include buildings that are on site, like you can see that we're tracing right here. It could also include tree lines. It could include swamplands or any ponds or bodies of water, like you can see in this example as well. Anything that you already know you do not want to put modules in. And so once we've traced our site plan, the next thing we want to do is actually assess that topography. So we have globally accessible topography that imports directly. It provides a 3D visualization of that topography and allows you to view it with respect to your own slope tolerances. And through this, we can actually give you what we call rackability insight, or the amount of usable space. So in keeping with the same project here, we've moved on to the next tab in the top left rackable area, and we've selected the button Get Topography. And so now we're retrieving Google Elevation Service topography specifically for your drawn site plan. And so on the right-hand side, you can actually see the 3D profile of that topography. And on the left-hand side, you can then see that translated into more keep out areas for your site plan. On the far right-hand side, we actually have our slope control, so north, south, and east-west slope thresholds that we can play with, as well as minimum contiguous area, so the minimum amount of land you want within those thresholds to actually place on. And then we can adjust those keep out zones and topography based on those thresholds. In the bottom left, you can see the total area of your site plan, the rackable area, so the total site plan minus any of those orange keep out spaces, and then a calculated percent usable area, or the rackable area. And so all of this allows you to assess your site before we're even placing trackers on the ground. After we assess the site topography, then we're going to move on to energy modeling. So in PVSketch Mega specifically, we have two options: PV Watts by Emerald, which is a well-known and trusted production modeling tool. It's been around for quite some time, or CASIS, which is made by Canadian Solar. And the reason we really like CASIS is because it has very, very close outputs to PVSyst. So you can get simple in-application numbers that closely resemble PVSyst for a first look at your design. Furthermore, in energy modeling, you can also pick specific equipment to compare and model in those energy models. So again, our same project, we're moving on to the next tab here in the top energy model. You can see from my drop-down list, PV watts and CASIS. In this example, we're moving forward with PV watts. And the first thing we're going to be clarifying is the site. So wind, risk categories, snow load. The next thing we're going to input is our module. So we have a full database, cloud-based database of modules that we're pulling directly from manufacturer spec sheets. Everything should be in here. You can see all of the values for that selected module. And we can actually pick multiple modules here to compare different modeling values for different modules. Inverter criteria is just a simple percentage for PV watts. For CASIS, we do allow further nuanced inputs for CASIS, and similarly for CASIS, you can also upload PAN files for modules. So those things are in keeping with CASIS. And then finally, we have loss criteria that you can play with as well. So once we have the energy model and the modules that we're intending to consider moving forward, then we want to actually optimize for our layout configuration. So this allows us to set a project target as well as a GCR range. We can assess multiple mounting systems in addition to the multiple modules you may have chosen, and then we can compare all of these optimized configurations all together. So again, our same example here, moving on to the next optimization tab in the top left. We can see our first target system size. There's also an option for target system production, and these are optional. So if you have an idea of what those targets are, you can input it to further narrow it down. Otherwise, we can just rely on our ground coverage ratio range. So here we have a minimum and maximum ground coverage ratio that we'll be considering. And then we have our different racking types, so both fixed and single axis. All user defined allow us to define that table or tracker, and we also have Array Technologies and Next Tracker that we've integrated with directly. We define our trackers by total modules as well as string lengths, so we can actually define partial tracker lengths for you when we're optimizing these layout configurations for you. And as I mentioned before, at the bottom, Add Portfolio allows you to add a secondary or third racking option to consider as well. Between this and picking the multiple modules for optimization, this is what allows you to optimize the manufacturers and system you're using, not even just the spacing. So here we can see listed every single optimized configuration available to your site based on your criteria. So we can see GCR, racking, modules, system size, production, and GCR, and it's all graphed on this graph here. So we can actually see how all those different configurations stack up next to each other. Once we've selected the configuration to move forward with, you have three options. You can view the layout, you can create a well-packaged report, and you can export to PVCAD Mega. And so as I mentioned, the next step is kind of creating those layouts. So all of these layouts are auto-rendered for you. It creates a full project proposal, and it also creates a streamlined bill of materials. And again, this is all automatic. So here in the layout, we've selected our configuration, we selected layout, and it filled our entire existing site plan with trackers. The yellow highlighted trackers are actually identified exterior trackers already. And in the bottom left corner, we can view our annual production, our system size, as well as our total number of modules. Moving on to the reports tab in the top left, this is the final proposal. So we can see our 3D topography, our site plan and layout that we just created, project criteria that we input along the way, and a bill of materials. So this is a qualitative bill of materials. We're looking at whether you have full or partial trackers, what size they are, and the exposure, and then we're quantifying them for you throughout your layout. So you have a really great snapshot of what kind of equipment will be needed in that project. And this downloads as a simple PDF directly to your computer to share with whoever you'd like. The other option from here is export to PVCAD. So some of you may have been using PVCAD Mega up to this point. You can use PVCAD Mega on its own and build projects out from scratch. But the beauty of PVCAD Mega paired with PVSketch Mega is that they work together as a team. So you can actually export and move seamlessly from PVSketch Mega, which is more of a optimization tool that's lightweight, into PVCAD Mega, which is the CAD space to do really heavy engineering. And so what we're going to be looking at today is specifically that export into PVCAD Mega process. So in this export, it's a smart export, so it knows exactly what modules and racking system you're using and your site location. It's CAD-based engineering, which should be very familiar for your teams and drafters that are already working in AutoCAD, and it creates a seamless transition from sales to engineering to reduce rendering and time. So here we are in our final project in PVSketch Mega, and we're going to come to the top and select Export to PVCAD. And so you can see a link that pops up here. We're going to copy this link and then immediately move over into PVCAD Mega, which should look very familiar. It looks just like AutoCAD. There's additional PVCAD Mega ribbon at the top and a window on the right-hand side. We're going to go to the large button that says Import from PVSketch Mega and our PVCAD Mega ribbon, paste in the link that we just copied, and select Import. Here we're just saving the design. And now PVCAD Mega is thinking for a second. Basically, it's taking all of your project information and all the rendering and auto-rendering it in the CAD space for you. And so here, when it imports, if we zoom out, you can see it imported my site plan, my boundaries, and my layout. And from this point, you can go back and continue to change things. So we can go back into the mechanical layout and change and tweak the array if we want to. But from here, we're really going to be concentrating on Pier analysis and schedules. So Pier analysis, this is full Pier analysis. It gives you a final Pier schedule as well as a top of Pier plan. And this is really powerful because we're able to do this for large scale solar. Doing a full Pier analysis is different than a slope analysis because slope analysis looks at point A and point B of your tracker and make sure the overall tracker slope is within your tolerances. But that can provide a lot of false negatives or false positives. If your Pier somewhere in the middle of your tracker is sitting on a valley of land and the pier is too short or too tall, it could be to the point where you're on site installing and you realize that that tracker is not viable or you missed out on usable space. So Pier analysis actually looks at the overall topography underneath every single pier that's been placed automatically and calculates the real-time pier height for every single pier. So for these large-scale utility projects, one, it's far more accurate, and two, it's just not really possible if you're doing this manually. So the automation of this is really powerful at the front end of your project design. So here's our same project in PVCAD Mega now. The first thing we want to do is import topography, and this is the same tab. This is something we did in PVSketch Mega, but you can do it again in PVCAD Mega, and there's an additional option for layer. So if you have your own topography survey that you want to use, you can import it into a layer and we can find it and analyze it for you. So you have further options of topography here. Here's the same Google elevation topography that we used earlier on, and with that I'm going to run pier analysis. So it's asking me for my maximum pier height, my minimum pier height, and my maximum tracker slope, north-south slope. And now it's moving through the entire project and placing every single pier for every single tracker. And this is based on our tracker configuration that we defined earlier. And so when we zoom in, we can see these little yellow plus signs that have been placed for every single pier. Blue trackers are within both pier and slope tolerances, and red highlighted trackers failed either for slope or pier tolerances. After this, we can also get a full pier schedule. So because we've placed and calculated every single pier, we can actually give you all those numbers in an easy to digest Excel format. So every single pier with every single tracker and their latitude, longitude locations. And for each unique pier, we are providing you the surface height, so the topo directly underneath the pier, pier height, which is top of ground to top of pier, pier altitude, ocean level to top of pier, torque tube altitude, ocean level to top of torque tube, and tracker angle, which is the north-south slope of that tracker. And we provide this for every inspec tracker that you saw, anything that was blue. And the last thing we can do is our bill of materials. I should mention as well that for those pier heights, the summation of that column is all of the out of ground steel you're going to need for the entire project. So giving you really rich data up front in your project. And here we can see the 3D profile of our project as well. So again, because we've calculated real heights for everything, you can actually then view your project in a 3D profile. And up close here, you can see all of the unique pier heights that have been applied, laid on top of the topography and the tracker laying across them. So we really are handling these placements and heights specific to your site location and topography. And then finally, here's the bill of material. So this is exactly as we saw in PVSketch Mega. It's quantified based on partials and exposure. We do go one step further and provide quantities for both in-spec and out-of-spec based on that pier analysis as well. The last thing in PVCAD Mega is energy models and export. So it does use PV watts similar to PVSketch Mega, and you can get those in applications, but we actually do go a step further by providing a PVSyst export in a plug-and-play format. This basically provides a 3D shade scene to use in PVSyst and allows you to get modeling in PVSyst faster with more accuracy. So here in our final design, we're just recalculating the energy in our summary tab. And again, that's from PVSyst. You can get an hourly and monthly breakdown of that same annual number with that energy simulation button in the top left-hand corner. What I do want to focus on is the PVSyst export. So I've selected the button that says PVSyst in the top ribbon, and it's creating a zip file for me. That zip file is placed in your reports folder and documents where all of your PVCAD Mega files are placed, and it has 3 subfolders in it. So fast forward, on the right-hand side is that same zip file, and on the left-hand side are my PVSyst files. So I'm just going to simply extract and unzip my zip file. And so again, there are the 3 subfolders. Medio is weather information, projects is our project location, and shadings is our 3D shade scene. On the left-hand side, we can see 3 folders that have the same heading. So we're basically just going to take our project information and port it over to the corresponding folder in PVSyst. Once all 3 of those are in there, you would open up PVSyst and continue designing as normal. So things that you might include are the module that you're using, the inverter that you're using, any additional site configurations or considerations that you want included in that PVSyst model. Once they're all in there, we can actually view the 3D shade scene. So moving to the construction perspective here, we can view the files that we're actually importing and analyzing directly from PVCAD Mega. And we do import it in layers. So there's an as-built flat and heights file here that we're all considering together to create this 3D shade scene in PVSyst. And this is something that is impossible, again, to do by hand. If you really wanted to consider a fully accurate project in PVSyst, you'd have to create a unique table for every single tracker, which just is not possible for large-scale utility projects. So because we're able to provide this 3D shade scene, it is the maximum amount of accuracy you can assess these projects in PVSyst with, and it's much faster because we're able to import that information automatically for you. Okay, so that is start to finish PVSketch Mega all the way to PVCAD Mega. We're very excited to, for the first time, offer you guys PVSketch Mega. We do want to open up for some questions before we talk about next steps and your options in getting started with both of these tools in the Mega Suite. Question number 1, because the ATI and Nextracker racking is integrated, are the tracker blocks created to use their default spaces gap, i.e. motor or cab gaps, module to module spacing? Yes. So all of those integrations were made with the manufacturer directly. So all of those considerations are taken into account. You will see, especially in PVCAD Mega, there are some nuanced features for each manufacturer as well. So for example, in Nextracker, you can actually assign blocks and import a manufacturer layer, and that replicates exactly what you would receive directly from Nextracker. And for ATI, it further allows you to specify north and south modules to place drive lines. So it's fully accurate to manufacturer specs, and there's actually feature sets that are specific to those manufacturers as well. Great question. Question number 2, where do you get your weather data? Another great question. So with PV Watts by NREL, everything is coming from NREL. For any international locations, we are pulling media norm weather files. Question 3, can software model bifacial modules? Yes, so PVSketch Mega can model bifacial modules. In PVCAD Mega, you will see bifacial modules listed in your drop-down menu for databases. In that instance specifically, it's just pulling basic nominal ratings for the module because we don't have any knowledge about the surface or reflection for that site. So you can design with bifacial modules. Are your PVSys files compatible with PVSys 7.0, the current version of PVSys? Yes, it is compatible with PVSys 7.0. Actually, I kind of mentioned this. We do import layers files, basically different variations of your shade scene into PVSys, because even the most up-to-date version of PVSys can't fully handle all of the nuance in the 3D shade scene. So we're hoping that PVSys will update yet again to better handle utility scale project modeling, and at that point our shade scene would be ready to go to even become more accurate. Question 5. Does CASIS consider the losses due to shadows between racking structures when reducing the pitch? Yes, it does. And again, a reason we love CASIS is because it very, very closely mimics outputs you would see from PVSys. There's a lot of nuanced inputs that you can consider within CASIS. Any other questions here? Is PVSketch and PVCAD sold as a combo? Pricing? Yes, great question, and that's kind of the next thing that I want to get into, next steps. They are sold separately, and we do have pricing for both of you that we'll kind of discuss in the coming moments. Scrolling through some more questions here. Can we customize module specifications? Yes, you can. So in the case of PVSyst Mega, you are able to upload PAN files. In the case of PVCAD Mega, there is an option for a custom database. So you can import your own custom modules that exist only on your PVCAD Mega. When importing to AutoCAD, what coordinate system is it using? So we're actually using our own geolocation for PVCAD Mega. So what it does is that it auto scales everything to size. It imports to your geographic location, but then it places that geographic location at the origin of the CAD file. So it's actually separate from AutoCAD geolocation and working in its own. What imagery does PVSketch Mega offer, and from where? What about PVCAD Mega? Everything from PVSketch Mega is coming from Google Maps, and you have the same option in PVCAD Mega. Because PVCAD Mega is in the AutoCAD space, it's just highly customizable. So you have an additional option of importing your own imagery. And additionally, both of them allow you to import your own KML or KMZ files. So either Google or your native KML, KMZ files are an option of both. And PVCAD Mega, you have the added flexibility of AutoCAD. Can we carry trackers tables with a skew angle? Yes, in PVCAD Mega you can. I didn't really go into too much detail about layout configuration in PVCAD Mega, really wanted to focus on how they work hand in hand. But as I earlier mentioned, you can start from scratch in PVCAD Mega and build out the whole layout from there. And there are more nuanced controls on how you place trackers in PVCAD Mega. So you can click and drag trackers into a location. You can place multiple different kinds of trackers or configurations. And you can place them with a reference angle. So if you're trying to hug boundaries rather than having your trackers sit across in a straight line, you can do that in PVCAD Mega. One more question, where is the topo data from? So we're pulling from Google Elevation Services in the case of PVSketch Mega. This is an option as well in PVCAD Mega, but again, in PVCAD Mega, because we're in AutoCAD space, there's added flexibility. So we have an additional option specific in PVCAD Mega to import your own topography. So you would import it as you normally would in AutoCAD and then specify the layer so we can find it and analyze it for you. Yeah. And I think that is the end of questions for today. You can reach out to us at any moment through support@PVComplete. But I do want to talk about a little bit next steps. So PVSketch Mega, this is our first sneak peek at PVSketch Mega. Thank you all so much for joining us for this. And as a thank you for joining us, you all are going to receive early free access starting today. So to do this, we will be emailing you guys a password that when you go to pvsketchmega.com, you will see this little sign up window that will ask for your access password. You'll place in the password and you can create a free account to start trying it out. We will be moving to paid accounts come January 2021. And so you can see our pricing for that is $300 per month, and that's up to the first 30 megawatts in that month. After that, it's $10 per additional megawatt for that month. So that's pricing for PVSketch Mega and our timeline for moving to paid accounts, but we're super excited to offer this to you guys as early access, early bird today for joining us for this webinar. PVCAD Mega has been around since last year, and so we have an existing free 30-day trial that you can download and start today, and we will send you that link as well to start that trial period. And subscriptions are $250 per month or $2,500 for the whole year. So again, that's information we'll send to you so you can start those trial periods if you would like to. Additionally, we do have full PVCAD Mega demos that are available on a weekly basis. So if you want to see how to create your layout from scratch in PVCAD Mega, we have those walkthroughs available as well. And as kind of a thank you, as well for this early bird access, we are requesting that you fill out a survey after you've had time to kind of play with the tool and get your thoughts. We've been really excited and working on this for quite some time now. We're finally ready to share it with you guys. We have heard so much from you guys that you really need more tools specific to optimization and utility scale solar, and so that's what we've provided. So once you have that early access and you've had a chance to play with it, we'll be sending out a survey, and we would appreciate so much if you can give us your feedback and how it's working for you so we can better tailor our tools to your needs. And with that, I just want to thank you all so much for joining today. You'll all be receiving that follow-up email I mentioned that includes next steps for PVSketch Mega, PVCAD Mega, and trying those out at home to see how they work for utility scale project design. Thank you all so much.